Is Esther Nwachukwu, and these are the top stories. Nigeria's headline inflation increases to 25.80%. President Tinubu to travel to New York on Sunday. Kano Commissioner issues death threat to tribunal judges' residents. And Chicago State University provides further update on President Tinubu's academic record. Details now. The world news begins on this front, where Nigeria's inflation has increased to 25.80% in August from 24.08% recorded in July 2023. The National Bureau of Statistics disclosed this today in its latest Consumer Price Index report for August 2023. The August 2023 headline inflation rate shows an increase of 1.72% compared to July 2023. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 5.27 percentage points higher compared to the rate recorded in August 2022, which was 20.52%. Accordingly, the figure indicated that the headline inflation rate year-on-year basis increased in August 2023 compared to the same month in the preceding year, that is August 2022. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is scheduled to depart from Abuja for New York on Sunday to attend the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Tinubu will be the fifth African leader to speak on the first day of the Assembly. According to the list of speakers released by the Office of the President of the General Assembly, President Tinubu will address world leaders in the evening of that day. He will be the 14th speaker out of the 20 leaders scheduled to speak on that day. In another development, Adamu Aliyu, the Kano State Commissioner of Lands, issued a death threat to the judges of the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. The commissioner also promised to unleash mayhem on residents of the state, one worse than what residents of neighboring Kaduna and Zamfara are going through. You do recall that the election of the governor of the state, Abba Yusuf, is being challenged at the tribunal by the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Nasiru Gawuna. The tribunal is yet to fix a day to deliver its judgment on the petition, while suggesting that judges of the tribunal may have been bribed to rule against his party. Aliyu said if the tribunal judges ruled against the New Nigeria People's Party, they may pay with their lives. Mr. Aliyu made the statement while addressing members of the New Nigeria People's Party during a solidarity protest of the party on Thursday. The gathering also doubled as a prayer session for an outcome favorable to the party at the election tribunal. A video of the commissioner issuing the threat was later posted on Facebook by both NNPP and APC members. He said, and I quote, "I am sending this message to the tribunal judges. Any judge that allows himself to be used and collect bribes and pass judgment that is not right, we want to tell him he must choose between his life and the bribe money he collected. We are promising you, our supporters, we are receiving your complaints. The votes you cast on His Excellency Governor Yusuf will not go in vain unless we lose our lives or the Kano state will fall." Another message for the leaders: you have seen the conflict, banditry in Zamfara, Kaduna and Katsina. I swear because of this governorship seat, everyone will die. The conflict that will start in Kano will be more deadly than the ones in those states and Borno, Aliyu added. Now, the protest and the prayer session simultaneously took place at 6 locations, which were in Katsina Road, Gwazo Road, Madobi, Sharada Road, Zaria Road, Maiduguri Road, and Hadejia Road. The event was attended by the Secretary of the Kano State Government, Bafa Bichi, a former Deputy Governor of the state, Hafiz Abubakar, top members of the state's Executive Council, and special advisors and assistants to the governor. To talk about this in depth, we actually have right here in the studio Elvis Elimehele, who is a political enthusiast, a social affairs commentator, a journalist as well. Mr. Elvis, good evening and welcome to the World News.
Good evening.
All right, Mr. Elvis, it is quite unfortunate that things have deteriorated to this point. At the moment, you heard what I just read about a particular commissioner in Kano State literally threatening the judges of the Governorship Petition Tribunal. He actually said that worse issues will be meted out on Kano residents compared to what is going on with their neighboring states, Zamfara and Kaduna. Does it mean that he's threatening that there will be more banditry activities in Kano State if the tribunal does not go its own way? I need to retake some of the things he said. Okay, he's saying that for the leaders, right, in Kano State, he's saying you have seen conflicts in Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina. I swear, because of this governorship seat, he threatened that everyone will definitely pass on, that the conflict that will start in that state will be more deadly than the ones in other states, including Borno. When did it get to this point, and why is the governor, why has he not been arrested?
Esther, it's so painful that most of the things we are hearing in this part of the world is really very disheartening, especially when it comes to election. I don't know why election has become a do or die affair in this nation. You will agree with me that why this commissioner is reacting to this matter in this form is, some time ago we heard that one of the judges in the tribunal said there were some people who are trying to bribe them, and the judges came out and began to lament that she's comfortable enough and she doesn't need any bribe, and she's going to dispense the justice as it's supposed to be. I think that's why this commissioner is going further. But what he has done is, against the law of the land. Nobody should be talking about threatening the judges, carrying out their duties. But at this moment, I would have expected that the DSS should step into this matter.
Can you remember when Nasir El-Rufai actually made similar statements in one of his gatherings when he was about, stepping out from being the governor of Kaduna State, and he mentioned how some things were done, how he made sure that he actually did what those from his community, the kind of support they gave him, he made sure he took attention and focused on them first before other communities that did not vote for him. And whether we like it or not, that was a religious statement. The communities that did not vote for him were the Christian-dominated communities. Yes. And he said, exactly, Southern Kaduna. And so he said, why would he pay attention to communities that did not vote him? He will first of all focus on communities that voted him before focusing on communities that did not vote him. And this is not the first time we've had utterances like that. During the elections as well, right here in Lagos State, we saw a particular individual called MC Oluomo who made threats and, it did what you call literally connived with some individuals. There was voter intimidation, there were violence and ballot box snatching, and he literally threatened a particular ethnic group, and he wasn't arrested. Nobody raised questions, and all he did was to tender an apology. The police did not take him in for questioning. So we're seeing this particular situation happening in Kano State, a broad daylight threat. Are you saying that the government cannot take swift action, especially the police? Or are they waiting for somebody to report to the police station before he is taken in for questioning and asking, why is he threatening that there will be insecurity, literally anarchy and chaos in the state, if the governorship election petition tribunal's judgment does not favor him or his party?
Like I told you, Esther, I'm not happy with what is going on. You see, this idea of some certain part of the state or country did not vote for me, and as a result, I have to take care of those that voted for me, came from Buhari. That he got the eastern region that did not vote for him, that he was not going to look at their welfare. You see, when you begin, as a leader, when you begin to use divide and rule, to execute your policies, you've missed it. That was because the president made such pronouncement. It has now given some other persons the impetus to say, okay, I can work on, the statement that was made by the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. Now, it has transcended. You just made mention of what happened in Lagos. We saw what happened in Lagos, and the tribunal has waved it aside now and said those are just immaterial. But these are some of the things that we are talking about that will lead to voter apathy. And voter apathy gives birth to the first source of malpractices come from voter apathy. When people refuse to come out to vote, the politicians now have a very big ground to manipulate the result because people did not come out to vote. And now we are looking at elections coming 2027. With all that, anyway, we are still waiting for Supreme Court judgment. But if it goes the other way, it means voter apathy will be more in 2027. This threat coming out from Kano now is another thing that I'm expecting that the DSS should look into it, pick up this commissioner and say, why will you be intimidating the judges from doing their job? Unfortunately, when it is favoring them, they don't see it as crime. But when it is against them, that's when they now see it as crime. This time around now, nobody will be looking at it. When Buhari made that statement when he was president of this nation, nobody said, the president, you are wrong. We made mention of it in the media here. We made noise with it. But unfortunately, the authority did not question him and just did not call him to order. Now, the other persons have now taken cue from him now as if the president can make that. You remember when he even made mention of a dot in a circle. You know, you are describing a particular region of the country. You are governing as the leader of the country. You keep on using some derogative words to describe them. What are you thinking that other people will take them for? That's what we are seeing now. It has transcended. You see some part of the state now, like Santa Kaduna has problem. Now, Kano is having its own problem. For this one to be likening it to what is happening in Kaduna.
Don't you think that with the statement he brazenly made that these politicians, these elites, these people actually know these Boko Haram members?
No, I've told
you. They
know
these ISWAP members. They're actually part of those who are having some activities with these individuals to create chaos, anarchy, and mayhem to attract some kind of attention to their states. For a commissioner, not the governor of the state, to make such brazen, threatening statements in a federation like Nigeria, in the presence of the secretary to the Kano state government, you also have a former deputy governor there, and other executive council members. That tells you that the National Intelligence Agency, the Department of State Security Service, the secret service of this nation, know those who are culpable in these terrorist activities. They know the individuals who are using innocent persons to siphon money. They know how monies are being exchanged or transferred from one particular area to another area. They understand the ring, the chain of kidnapping activities that have become extremely excessive and consistent. So if a governor or a commissioner of a state powerfully, confidently can make such a statement, then what exactly, where are we? Where will the common man rely on, or what will he rely on to protect him?
That's what we are looking at, a shift from the norm. This is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's regime. We are expecting that he should not allow this kind of thing to fester in his regime like he did in Muhammadu Buhari's regime. We want to see changes, irrespective of the political party the person belongs. The judiciary is different from the political party, and by the time you win an election and you are sitting as a president, you are no longer beginning to be talking about your party. You are talking about Nigeria as an entity. It's your first entity. It's your first constituency, this nation. So what we are seeing here now, I think the president should look into this matter. And again, like you made mention of Esther, have you thought of all the logistics for these Boko Haram and bandits? People like you and I who are living freely are the ones that are supplying them. They supply arms, they supply food, they supply everything that is needed for people to survive. You imagine Boko Haram, kidnapping the Chibok girls, such large number of children from their school.
They took their time.
And they moved them into the forest. They were able to take care of them. Start from you having 3 or 4 children at home. Do you know what it takes for you to take care of them? Then, with that large number of students they took away from their hostel, they took care of them. That means they have suppliers, they have people who are working with them. And most of these leaders of the northern region, they know them. They have turned into business. That's why it's festering.
Don't forget the recent ambush that just currently took place in that same Shiroro, Zamfara area, where young lieutenants and cadets were slaughtered by these individuals.
2-3 weeks ago.
The government said the military said they were going to conduct an investigation. We haven't heard anything.
Nothing.
Now, they only did a mass burial. So don't you think that it's a serious quagmire?
It is. The president must begin to look inward. First of all, look at the formation of the armed forces. Look at even, you remember the former president, President Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan said, there are Boko Haram even in his government. He said it then. People thought he was joking. Let me tell you, Esther, if there are if there were no elites who are actually behind this terrorism, it will not fester the way it is, because these elites know how to supply these people with the needed things right in the forest. If they say they are in the forest,
You remember the
do Nigeria find it easy to survive at home now? Let alone those are in the forest surviving.
The BBC African Eye, I think that was last year, exposed a lot of things. It actually made a couple of these politicians feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Where they said the BBC should not have aired what they, investigated. It took the BBC a whole year. If it could take this organization a whole year to go into this deep web of criminal activities, they went into the den of these individuals, asked them questions. One of them actually said that they have moles in the Nigerian military. They made a lot of expository statements during that interview. And what the person said, that these individuals do not care, is all about money. And anytime you see them strike against the government, it's because the government did not give them their own percentage. So if a media organization took a whole year and they could get all of these sensitive details, not to talk of a military architecture and organization that has all the logistics and requirements to gather secret information, not finding out who these individuals are and flushing them out, don't you think that there is an entity in charge of the government besides the president that we see?
So much. The president should even be afraid of some of the things that are happening around him, because every operation that is planned by the Nigeria Armed Forces is always depleted as a result of ambush. Who do you think is leaking those ambush? It's some of them that are within the periphery of planning those operations that leak it to them. This is the operation. This is where we are going to. This is what is going to happen. We saw this kind of thing some years ago in the then old Bender State, Edo State, like when we have Anini and his group. Nobody knew that. Everybody was like, Anini was such a magical person that he disappears and all of that. Anini was just an ordinary human being. But because he has DSP George Yamu, who was like leaking all the information from the police command in them, Bender State, to them. So if that was why everybody was like, Anini disappears. If they planned, okay, we are looking for Anini, he'll tell them, don't go to this side today. Oh, this is where our boys will be. Then you see Anini going towards Warri, going towards Agbo.
So it now seems he has some supernatural powers to always disappear.
So people were taking that. So that is what is happening now. Until George Yamu was arrested. And when, you know what happened? So much happened then. Kasmia Kagboso was deployed from Lagos here by IBB's government to go and arrest the situation. The commissioner entered Bender State. In Benin, he was shot. Kasmia Kagboso, commissioner was shot and he was thrown out. He was immediately taken off. Then before they brought Omeben came. Commissioner Omeben came. DIG Omeben then said, go to your state and make sure you arrest Anini. DIG Omeben came. His driver was killed in his car. While Omeben was in the church praying, his driver was killed. That was when they knew that the situation was terrible. That the person who is leaking all this thing is within. Until they arrested George Yamu before Anini could be arrested, because nobody was telling them what is happening now. If the federal government do not arrest the source, those sources that are inside the armed forces that are leaking information to Boko Haram and bandits, I'm telling you, this war will not be won. We have seen it in this nation before under IBB. And so we must have to look. They must have to look inward. And Jonathan has even revealed to that to some extent that I have Boko Haram in my government. So the government, successive government after Boko Haram, from Buhari to this Tinubu we are now, should know that this same source of people that leak this information are still very much in the military, are still very much in the armed forces. So she first of all look inward. You just saw, we just made mention of what happened in Shiroro. You saw the massacre. You saw the number of Nigeria military men that were massacred. Yet, people will tell you that it's not just an ordinary war. It's not just an ordinary war. People who are enjoying it, who are enjoying the booty, who are turning to business, we make sure that it continues so that they continue to enjoy what they are enjoying from it. Even when there is fuel scarcity, Boko Haram is able to move with all their missions and all their motorcycles.
How were they able to accomplish that? Where did they get the logistics?
Into the forest.
Mr. Alvis, we're running out of time. Another thing a couple of critics have said is that, what if it was the APC government that made this kind of outrageous statement? Because this is a new Nigeria People's Party that is just beginning to gain resonance, and then they could make such a statement. So a couple of persons have said, imagine if it was the APC, nobody would have heard word, would have said, oh, wow, this is how the government wants to subject the people. This is how the ruling party wants to subject the people. But let's move on to another conversation. Apparently, the Chicago State University has confirmed that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did attend the university and graduated in 1979 with a bachelor's degree. Now, of course, the university has, however, said that it will not release any further information about his record without his consent or a court order. Now, the recent remark was contained in a statement to CBS Broadcasting International, widely known as CBS News, one of America's most influential news networks. The university statement came in response to a request from Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, in the 2023 election. Abubakar had alleged that the document showing Tinubu graduated from CSU in 1979 was not authentic. At the hearing this week, Abubakar's lawyer asked a federal judge to compel CSU officials to turn over Tinubu's academic documents and appear for depositions. Now, Judge Jeffrey Gilbert of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois did not rule on the request. Now, CSU's lawyer Michael Hayes told Gilbert that the university would not be able to certify Tinubu's diploma under oath. A CSU spokeswoman said the university could confirm the president graduated. However, it cannot authenticate the diploma because it was a ceremonial document and not part of a student's official academic file. So this is what, the university statement to CBS said it is. Confidence in the veracity and integrity of our records regarding Tinubu's completion of graduation requirements and degree certificates. The statement also said that the university is not a party to the Nigerian legal proceedings that spurred the request for Tinubu's academic records. So he says that they're sometimes asked to provide information related to student records, and the federal law known as FEPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, protects the privacy of student records and limits what an institution can release. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth, but what the school is saying is that at the time, the errors supposedly on that certificate were due, which they said is normal because it's been a long time ago, were due to some changes. But there are constant similarities in the certificate, and that Tinubu's own is a ceremonial one. The ceremonial certificate is different from the normal diploma or normal degree that you get. So if this was it, why didn't the school say something earlier on? Why did we go all through this? Why did they make it seem like it was a big deal?
That's the big question. I'm surprised that as exposed and as civilized as the US, we are getting this kind of infraction from a student who went through the academic session in their school and they kept all this. If they know they have all this information, all this, why did they allow this matter to fester to this extent before they opened up? They should have arrested this matter. We have been talking about this certificate right from when President Ahmed Bola Tinubu was governor of Lagos State. Ever since, one would have expected that before now, they would have been able to look into his case and be able to, iron out wherever they feel there were grievances and there were errors. It transcends to when he started contesting as president of Nigeria, and here we are today. But the university has not really impressed me with the information they are giving us at this later part of what we have gone through with all the razzmatazz that has gone around the president's certificate. I think the university is culpable in this matter. They should do better than this.
I don't know if you've actually seen the certificate itself that was tendered or rather released by the school, and what the document actually disclosed. It is quite, I don't know what else to say, but I must say that a lot actually happens that shouldn't actually be happening. So here is what the affidavit said, that the difference in the date of award on the diploma versus the certified copy is likely the result of the human error. The graduation date on the certified copy is typed in manually by a person and can be inaccurate. In the United States of America, institutions of higher education often consider the diploma to be a ceremonial document. Okay, so they also affirmed that Bola Ahmed Tinubu graduated and was awarded a degree from Chicago State University on June 22, 1979. This university provided a diploma to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and subsequently provided a certified or official copy of that diploma. Both are valid and authentic diplomas of Chicago State University. So if this was it, why did they say, let's go to court on Tuesday? Why did the school say they cannot authenticate or certify? I don't know if you understand. It became, at some point, it was a mental gymnastic situation. We had the conversation on all the updates on the certificate. That conversation was had right here on the World News. The idea is, this is the president. Nobody is trying to make statements that will be condescending or put him in bad light. Everyone would like to have access to the press. He's a public figure, so everything about him is in the open space. And it is normal for the media to put the searchlight on him, because a credible moral leader definitely will lead the country in the right direction. So if this was the case, why did it take through? Why all this? It's almost like a snake and ladder game.
It's very embarrassing. The school did not play their role, and they should also remember. We should also remember that the constitution did not even say you must be a graduate before you can contest as president of Nigeria. They said secondary school or its equivalent. So when all these ones were going on, Nigerians were like, okay, it is our right to know who our president is and which is the right of Nigerians. The school kept mute. And now they are coming up because somebody has taken it upon. He said, I must get to the root of this matter. It is now they are coming up. The school did not play their role. And I want to let Nigerians know that whatever this kind of attitude that, this effort we made in saying we want to know whom our president is, we should continue with it. It's a normal one. Remember, during this 1999, this Fourth Republic, when we began it in 1999, people have forgotten that this first Speaker of House of Representatives was thrown out because of this for certificate matter. That's Salisu Buhari.
Yes.
He was thrown out. So if we can throw that speaker out in 1999, we will do more now in 2023 and beyond, because we must know who is leading us. It is our right, and we must know whether we are safe in the hands of our leaders. So Nigeria should continue, even if it ends in this matter of certificate of our president. We have done well. We have been able to prove to some extent. But if it warrants going further, Nigeria should not relent in going further.
So would you say that the quest of Atiku Abubakar has become futile with this release of the school?
Well, with this release, I don't know where he said he wants to, even if it's not going to be for the judiciary or whatever, but Nigerians should know the truth. I think now that the school is coming out with the truth, if this is the truth and they can back it up, I think Atiku Abubakar has fought a good fight. To me, he has fought a good fight, because if not, his exposé going further, the school has been mute all this while. The school went as far as removing the whole of 1979 away from their own.
I think that's what caused the speculation. A lot of Nigerians, they were confused.
Even what they are telling us at this later part, many of us will not believe it, because we expected this one to have come right from the time.
But do you think for such an institution that seems to be credible, that something underhand would have been at play? Do you think any financial exchange would have occurred for them to change their testimony?
Forget about this Western world. Sometimes we overrate them so much in this part of the world.
That's what a lot of Nigerians are saying.
Corruption that we are seeing here emanated from them. Politicians steal money here and take it to their bank. They will not tell you until they have made so much interest and use that money to trade and live in their life before they start telling you that this money will be repatriated. The interest that all the Abacha's loot accrue in their bank, are they returning to Nigeria with the interest? They have used this for so many years to live in their life and to brighten their life before they are returning. So I don't have that idea of the Western people, they don't make mistake or they are above board. They are not above board. They even taught Africans this corruption, because they opened the door for them that anytime you loot here, we are ready to accept it. And they use it to brighten their economy. After brightening their economy before, they now come like snake on the other side and begin to say, this man is a thief. No, but they should not. They don't have the right to point at any Nigerian leader, because if there is nobody to buy, it will be difficult for the thief to steal.
All right, Mr. Elvis Elimehele, thank you so much for your contribution on the World News at 6. We'll still continue this conversation on the evening rush. However, we need to wrap up.
Thank you, Esther.
All right. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court on Friday refused to nullify the election of Enugu State Governor Peter Mba. The court dismissed an appeal filed by the candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC, Uche Nnaji. In the unanimous decision by a 5-member panel of justices, the Apex Court held that Nnaji and his party filed an invalid proof of argument, which rendered their appeal incompetent. Also, the court noted that Nnaji failed to explain why the invalid process he filed should be relied upon to invalidate Mba's victory. VOP News gathered that the Court of Appeal in Enugu had in July dismissed Nnaji's case against Mba. Nnaji had challenged Governor Mba's victory, alleging that the majority of the lawful vote cast had not duly elected him. To wrap up the world news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM, here again are the top stories. You heard that Nigeria's headline inflation increases to 25.80%. Also, President Tinubu is to travel to New York on Sunday. Kano Commissioner issues death threat to tribunal judges, including residents. And Chicago State University provides further update on President Tinubu's academic record. That is a wrap on the world news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for staying with us. Up next.